About Trump. People ask me all the time, hey, what do you really think about Trump? Well, here's my truth, the way that I see it. Trump isn't trying to burn down the entire global system like everyone thinks he is. He's trying to reposition America inside the system to protect it as the global order falls apart. At his core, Trump is a nationalist. He believes in sovereignty and strength and in putting America first. But he's not reckless. He knows you can't just pull the plug on institutions like the Federal Reserve, NATO, or global trade overnight without triggering a collapse that would also take America down with it. So instead of trying to smash the system all at once, he sort of bends it. He forces it to reveal its cracks on its own. Sometimes he makes tactical concessions. He plays along with the parts of the machine because survival is the first priority, right? He reforms where he can, he slows the rot where he can, and he buys time for America to rebuild its strength from the inside out. If he went after the globalists head on, openly from day one, he'd be eliminated before he even had a chance to do anything for real. He's smart enough to know that. I think anyone can agree. His real goal isn't to save the global system, it's to save America through the collapse of the global system, because it will. He's preparing America to stand on its own when the globalist house of cards finally falls. He's not perfect. He's not a savior. But he's playing a long game. Most people don't even realize is happening. And honestly, at this stage of history, courage and clarity matter more than perfection. Trump is walking a tightrope between a world that's already collapsing and a future that isn't even written yet. And whether you love him or hate him, he's one of the very few who actually stands in that gap. That's how I see it.
Kataib HEZBOLLAH ties Iraq PM to al-Maliki or al-Sudani blocks. April 19th at 9:48 a.m. Kataib HEZBOLLAH, an Iran-aligned Iraqi faction, rejected concentrating Iraq's top political posts within a single bloc, warning that if the coordination framework fails to nominate Nouri al-Maliki or Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, priority shifts to candidates from their respective blocs. Amid the parliamentary deadlock following Nizar Ahmedi's presidential election, the group emphasized avoiding residential attacks to protect the U.S. Embassy while vowing to dismantle occupation-linked institutions. Additionally, the faction called for stronger resistance coordination to deter U.S. and Israeli actions, citing Lebanon's Hezbollah as a model of asymmetric warfare, and warned against harming civilian populations during the ongoing regional tensions involving Kuwait. Cocoon AI Summary. Shafaq News Baghdad. Kataib HEZBOLLAH, an Iran-aligned Iraqi armed faction, on Saturday rejected any move to concentrate Iraq's top political posts within a single bloc, as political forces remain deadlocked over selecting the next prime minister. In a statement, the group's security official, Abu Mujahid al-Asaf, outlined 4 political and security positions, stressing that it is not acceptable for one group to monopolize the 4 presidencies. He indicated that if allies within the coordination framework, a coalition of Shiite parties aligned with Iran, that forms the largest bloc in parliament, fail to secure the nomination of either State of Law Coalition, SLC, leader Nouri al-Maliki, or caretaker Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, priority would shift to selecting a candidate from their respective blocs. Read more. Al-Maliki sounds different this time, the world is not convinced yet. Iraq's parliament elected Nizar Ahmedi as president on April 11th, triggering the constitutional timeline for naming a prime minister. However, the coordination framework has yet to agree on a nominee, with a planned meeting to resolve the impasse postponed to Monday, according to a political source. He further referred to an understanding with an Iraqi mediator regarding the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, stating that its security and the safety of its personnel depend on avoiding attacks on residential areas across Iraqi provinces. The group, in his words, intends to dismantle what it described as occupation-linked security and military institutions, disarm them within cities, and end their influence in state ministries and security and political agencies. On Kuwait, which has recently summoned Iraq's chargé d'affaires, Zayed Abbas Shanshur, over alleged attacks by armed groups targeting Kuwaiti territory, he warned against actions that could harm segments of the people, amid the U.S.-Israeli confrontation with Iran. Read more. Iraqi armed factions' cross-border attacks draw legal warnings and Arab pressure. Al-Asaf also said Lebanon's Hezbollah had established a new rule in asymmetric warfare that forced the American Zionist enemy to accept the agreement, describing the outcome as a clear victory despite external pressure and internal complexities. He called for stronger coordination among resistance factions and other actors, alongside opening new fronts to deter the United States and Israel. Kataib HEZBOLLAH ties Iraq PM to al-Maliki or al-Sudani blocs. April 19 at 9:48 a.m. Kataib HEZBOLLAH, an Iran-aligned Iraqi faction, rejected concentrating Iraq's top political posts within a single bloc, warning that if the coordination framework fails to nominate Nouri al-Maliki or Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, priority shifts to candidates from their respective blocs. Amid the parliamentary deadlock following Nizar Amidi's presidential election, the group emphasized avoiding residential attacks to protect the U.S. Embassy while vowing to dismantle occupation-linked institutions. Additionally, the faction called for stronger resistance coordination to deter U.S. and Israeli actions, citing Lebanon's Hezbollah as a model of asymmetric warfare, and warned against harming civilian populations during the ongoing regional tensions involving Kuwait. Cocoon AI Summary. Shafaq News Baghdad. Kataib HEZBOLLAH, an Iran-aligned Iraqi armed faction, on Saturday rejected any move to concentrate Iraq's top political posts within a single bloc, as political forces remain deadlocked over selecting the next prime minister. In a statement, the group's security official, Abu Mujahid al-Asaf, outlined 4 political and security positions, stressing that it is not acceptable for one group to monopolize the 4 presidencies. He indicated that if allies within the coordination framework, a coalition of Shiite parties aligned with Iran, that forms the largest bloc in parliament, fail to secure the nomination of either State of Law Coalition, SLC, leader Nouri al-Maliki, or caretaker Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, priority would shift to selecting a candidate from their respective blocs. Read more. Al-Maliki sounds different this time, the world is not convinced yet. Iraq's parliament elected Nizar Amidi as president on April 11, triggering the constitutional timeline for naming a prime minister. However, the coordination framework has yet to agree on a nominee, with a planned meeting to resolve the impasse postponed to Monday, according to a political source. He further referred to an understanding with an Iraqi mediator regarding the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, stating that its security and the safety of its personnel depend on avoiding attacks on residential areas across Iraqi provinces. The group, in his words, intends to dismantle what it described as occupation-linked security and military institutions, disarm them within cities, and end their influence in state ministries and security and political agencies. On Kuwait, which has recently summoned Iraq's chargé d'affaires, Zayed Abbas Shanshul, over alleged attacks by armed groups targeting Kuwaiti territory, he warned against actions that could harm segments of the people, amid the U.S.-Israeli confrontation with Iran. Read more. Iraqi armed factions' cross-border attacks draw legal warnings and Arab pressure. Al-Asaf also said Lebanon's Hezbollah had established a new rule in asymmetric warfare that forced the American Zionist enemy to accept the agreement, describing the outcome as a clear victory despite external pressure and internal complexities. He called for stronger coordination among resistance factions and other actors, alongside opening new fronts to deter the United States and Israel.
There's some information that Axios shared. Now, he regularly posts on Telegram. This guy is suspicious. I mean, now, one of the admins on Telegram, for the Chosen One's Telegram, and she had a private chat on Telegram, because I'm a member of her group. It's only a small group, and he wanted to post something on the Chosen One's Telegram, and she messaged him, wanted to have a conversation, and she was surprised at the colourful languages he basically wrote on paper, every kind of swear word possible, so she blocked him. Anyway, this guy, yeah, suspicious. So what does he say? He said a lot of rubbish. So he's saying here, now this information was also posted by Mr. Paul, and he's been wrong a lot of times as well. Who are their sources? April 30, remember this date, write it down, burn it into your mind. See, they're casting a spell on you. Look, look, look. Listen to me, I'm talking to you. they're putting spells on us. He's the real wizard. Everything converges on April 30, They don't want you to see the patterns, but the pattern is screaming. Pfizer extended to April 30, the most powerful surveillance weapon ever built. They created it to spy on patriots, to spy on him, to wiretap a sitting president. They just took control of it. The same system they used to destroy Flynn, the same system they used to frame Trump, the same system that monitored every phone call, every text, every email of every American. It now answers to the Situation Room. The Situation Room, he signed it Saturday, quietly, while the world watched Hormuz. But that's not all he signed. Joe Rogan was in the White House, standing next to the president as he signed the executive order to unlock psychedelic medicine, ibogaine, psilocybin, MDMA, the drugs Big Pharma spent 40 years burying because one session cures what their pills could never. One session cures what their pills never could. They made billions keeping veterans sick, keeping you sick. That ends April 30. Connect, Pfizer surveillance, expires April 30. All intercepts must be acted on before then. Medbed rollout. Phase 1 begins April 30. Military hospitals, veterans first. Epstein hearings, Gates testimony, June 10th. Subpoenas issued before April 30. Gold, 4,879, heading to 5,000. The old dollar is flattening. QFS, 209 nations synced, waiting for the trigger date. April 30 is the trigger date. Iran fired on ships today. The strait is closed again. They think this is about oil. It was never about oil. The blockade is the distraction. While every camera points at Hormuz, the real operation is running behind the curtain. Surveillance locked, cures signed, files secured, gold loaded, system ready. He's in the Situation Room right now, not because of Iran, because of what happens on April 30. The old world ends in 11 days. Total rubbish. I've listened to Bill Barney and he stated that anyone that gives a date, you might as well call them a liar. I mean, it's great if it does happen, but anyway, I asked ChatGPT to clarify. Who is Axios? Telegram account. The Telegram channel you linked is not connected to Axios, spelled AXIOS, the legitimate US media outlet. It appears to be an anonymous Telegram persona, Axios/4B, with no verifiable identity, credentials, or confirmed military role. The writing style, caps, urgency, burn this into your mind, is typical of influence hype posts, not official or insider briefings. So credibility equals unverifiable. So credibility equals unverified, anonymous source. Let's break down the claims. 1. April 30 trigger date. These hard dates have been predicted many times in RV medbed circles and consistently don't materialize. Urgency plus countdown language is a classic tactic to drive attention and belief. 2. Pfizer plus he took control. Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act Pfizer is a legal framework with multiple oversight layers, courts, Congress. No single person can just take control of it privately or quietly. Any major change would be public, documented, and widely reported. This claim doesn't align with how the system actually works. Joe Rogan at the White House signing psychedelic orders. Joe Rogan has not been officially reported as attending the White House signing for this. Psychedelic therapies like MDMA, psilocybin are being studied medically, but they are regulated clinical treatments, not instant one-session cures. No executive order like this has been confirmed publicly, likely exaggerated or fabricated. Medbeds launching April 30, veterans first. This is where I disagree with ChatGPT. Now, he says veterans first. it does not align with the information that SKYE has given us over the years. She has White Hat military source who's been giving her all the information that she's been sharing to everyone. So this definitely does not align to what SKYE was saying. She said the humanitarians will be seen first. Ultimately, those that are in dire need will be seen first. But anyway, I mean, if the veterans get seen first, hey, I'm okay with that. But I mean, I'm just sick of this misinformation, BS, from people who claim, first of all, they're not going to say who they are. Who do they serve? Anyway, if he's right, great, fabulous. But remember that all those 209 nations need to have their currencies backed by gold or the in-ground assets of their country. The US Treasury won't print out the gold-backed currencies unless those countries are ready. And President Trump is the one that gives the signal. Anyway, that's my piece.
Okay, so I just want to clarify something regarding the medbeds. There's a lot of information going around that the medbeds are not here on Earth. While this is true, it's also not true. Okay, so some medbed centers are not here on Earth. They are on spaceships, they are on other planets, they're on bases, whatever. The majority of medbeds are here on Earth. So when you go to the medbed center for your scan, you'll check in at reception and then you'll be taken through a doorway to a waiting area. That doorway, depending on where you are, that doorway may actually be a portal that takes you straight to a medbed center on a ship, somewhere in the multiverse, on another planet. I know Venus has a medbed center set up, Pleiades has a medbed set up, the Arcturus has a medbed set up. But the majority of people on this planet will go through that doorway just into a basic waiting room here on Earth. Okay, here on Earth. Why? Because the majority of medbeds are here on Earth. Okay, not everyone is going to go off planet, and you will not know unless you are absolutely tuned in to high frequencies. You will have no clue when you go through that doorway if you're just going to a basic waiting room or if you've actually gone through a portal. You'll have no clue. How it feels to go through a portal is tingling only if you're tuned in, if you're very aware of your own frequency and your own spiritual senses. It's a feeling of tingling. It's the tiniest feeling of potentially like the hairs on your body standing up, but ever so slightly. If you weren't aware of it, then, you know, if you weren't aware of your own energy, you would not feel it. You may just have that inner knowing. Don't get that inner knowing confused with hoping or wanting. Okay, so while some people will go off planet, the majority of people will remain right here on Earth. Okay, so please, anyone who says all the medbeds are off planet, they're not even here, is incorrect, completely incorrect. Most, probably 70 to 80% of the medbeds are here on Earth. The others will be off planet somewhere else. And you're not really going to know, and they're not going to tell you if you've gone through a portal or not. Okay? So please be aware of that. I've spoken about the medbeds here on Earth for 5.5 years. I know everyone is, you know, has their own thoughts and beliefs, but didn't I say like a week or 2 weeks ago, everyone coming up with new medbed information is just their own opinions, their own thoughts? Yeah? Same thing. It makes sense to people for the medbeds not to be here on Earth, so that's their belief. Alright? I'm not telling you just to believe me, but I did tell you there will be no factual medbed information coming through once I stopped talking about it, because It was my task to educate everybody about it. Okay? So, take everything with a grain of salt. Alright? Please.
Some souls arrive carrying a light brighter than this world is ready to understand. They see deeper, feel more, and walk paths others cannot see. Sometimes they fade from view, not because they are lost, but because they were never meant to belong to the ordinary world, and still their light remains shining, eternal, untouched. By Nouriel Tazari.
Thank you, my loves. Stay calm, stay aligned, and keep your light strong. This video is for general informational and spiritual discussion only. All content shared here reflects publicly available intel, spiritual perspectives, and personal interpretation. Nothing in this video is medical advice, financial advice, or guaranteed prediction. Always use your own discernment and make decisions that feel right for you.
In the quiet between the worlds, when the noise falls away, you begin to remember, not with your mind, but with something deeper.
There's a place inside you that has always known. Even in your silence, you are not alone. When the world feels heavy and the path is unclear, there is something within you that is still here. You are not broken, you are returning. Through every moment, your soul is learning. Even in darkness, there's a light inside. You are not lost, you are just finding your way back home.
Every step you've taken, even through the pain, every tear you've carried was never in vain. There's a quiet presence walking by your side, not loud or forceful, just a gentle guide. You feel it, and in that feeling, you remember who you are.
You were never broken, only returning. Through every struggle, your heart was learning. And in this moment, just breathe and see. You are exactly where you're meant to be.
You were never alone.